Alright, so other than factoring quadratic equations to solve them, we have the quadratic formula, which is this thing over here. And I need you to add something to that. The quadratic formula starts with x equals, because we're solving for our two x-intercepts and we're using that formula to do so. So please make sure you've added that x equals right there. Now, all we have to do is use the a, b, and c numbers and plug them in where each spot, so b, b, a, and c, and a on the bottom. So our equation for this problem is going to be negative 2x squared plus 4x plus 16 equals 0. And that is something unique about the quadratic formula. It has to be equal to 0 before you can use it. So that would mean if it's not equal to 0, we would have to solve it and make it equal to 0 first. So our a number is that first number, negative 2, our b number is 4, and our c number is 16. Now we're just going to plug them in where they go. So if we look at our formula in the top right corner, first thing is negative b. So they already put the negative there. We just need to put the b number in parentheses. So we've got 4 for our b number. Then plus or minus, it says b squared. So I need to put my b number in again, 4. And then minus 4 times a times c. So I need to put my a number, negative 2, and my c number, 16. On the bottom, it just says 2 times a, so a is going down here, negative 2. Now, I've got all my numbers in here. We're just simplifying now. Your calculator could try and do this all at once, but it wouldn't really work. So we are breaking it down little step by little step. So right here, you'll notice they've taken the negative away. They just mean if you did negative 4, what would you get? Let's just make it one chunk. So we would just put negative 4 in there. Then they've combined everything under the radical sign to be one number. So in your calculator, you would type in 4 squared minus 4 times negative 2 times 16. And you would end up with 144 under there. Last but not least, they multiplied on the bottom 2 times negative 2, and they got negative 4. So that's our next step. Then you can tell it's going two different ways, and that's because of this plus or minus. We have to do it one time where we would add and one time where we would subtract, because we're going to get two x-intercepts, hopefully. So over here, it looks like negative 4 is in its same spot, but then right next to it, there's no more radical right here. So that just means they did square root of 144 in their calculator. And when they did that, you would get 12. And on the bottom, it looks like nothing changed, so we'll just put negative 4 again. If we solve that in our calculator, negative 4 plus 12, and then divide it by negative 4, we would get negative 2. So one of our x-intercepts, we could say x equals negative 2. On the other side, when we need to subtract, same thing, minus 4 goes where the negative b was. They took the square root of 144 is 12, and on the bottom it's negative 4. So this time in our calculator, we're just going to do negative 4 minus 12 divided by negative 4 instead of plus 12. If we minus 12 instead, we will end up with 4. So our two answers would be x equals negative 2 and x equals 4. We've got two x-intercepts for this problem. Now these ones came out really nice and even whole numbers, so we actually probably could have factored this, but they won't always be so pretty. They'll be messy, like our next example. Alright, so our next example, I'll do this one in blue too, is 5x squared minus 7x minus 8 equals 3. Hopefully you're thinking that we cannot use the formula yet because it's not equal to 0. So if we wanted to solve this and get 0 on the right-hand side, all we'd have to do would be to minus 3 for both sides. So if we did that, then we'd end up with 5x squared minus 7x minus 11 equals 0. So we have to do that before we can start. Now I can pick out my A, my B, and my C number. So A would be 5, B would be negative 7, and C would be negative 11. So we'll use our A, B, and C numbers and plug them into our quadratic equation sitting up here in the corner for us. So we've got negative B. Well, B is negative 7. So even though that looks funny, negative 7, that's what we have to do. Plus or minus the square root of B squared, so another negative 7, minus 4 times A, that means 5, C, negative 11, all over 2 times A, so 5. Now we'll go through simplifying. So here's where we get to say what would go here. If we had negative 7, that would just be 7, so we get to put 7. On the right side, we want to simplify everything under that radical sign. So in our calculator, we would type in parentheses, negative 7 squared minus 4, parentheses 5, parentheses negative 11. And we would get 269. On the bottom, we would do 2 times 5 and get 10. So we've got it in 3 chunks now. Time to split it into adding and subtracting. So again, we're going to have a 7, and this time the square root of 269, if we do that in our calculator, we're going to get a decimal. We are going to use our decimal, but we want to round it to 3 places. So we're going to put 16.401. Need a little more room in there. And on the bottom, we still have 10. So in our calculator, if we type in 7 plus 16.401 and then divide by 10, we would end up with x equals 2.340. Now we've got to do it again for this subtraction. So again, we have 7, we have a 10 on the bottom, and this time square root of 269, same thing, 16.401. So now we do 7 minus 16.401 divided by 10, and we will end up with x equals negative 0.940. So our two x-intercepts are 2.340 and x equals negative 0.940. Those are really messy. We could not have factored that one. So the quadratic formula is really good when it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to factor it and it's going to have messy solutions. That's what we want to use it for. Your job now is to try the 8 problems on the back of this worksheet, and I want you to pay close attention to any problems that it looks like there's only going to be one answer, or it looks like there might not be any answers. So we can talk about that together next time. All right, good luck. Work hard.